it's Finnovation. So as you guys know, I love my Crocs, but sadly they're starting to wear out.
The obvious question is, what are you going to do about it?
Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to retread your Crocs. Let's get right into it. Alright, first off, the materials that you're going to need. First off, you're going to need some Crocs that you want re-gripped. So for me, I've got this pair right here. Then you're going to need some X-Acto knives or razor blades. And really you just want like a small sharp blade that you can cut your Croc out with. So without further ado, let's get right into the tutorial. Alright, so now the very first thing that you're going to want to do is identify where on the Crocs your grips used to be. So for me, mine are pretty much all the way gone, but you can still definitely see like where, the grip used to be. So what you're going to need to do is essentially outline it. So first off, I'm going to do the central line. So the line kind of comes in and around like that, and I've got to cut that chunk out, and this chunk over here, which also doesn't have much grip, I'm basically going to be making a perimeter. Alright, so as you guys can see, that is that one mid-line that I was talking about.
Let me look.
Alright, now I'm going to give a quick explanation on how I actually did the cutting. So as you can see from that one line, it turned out pretty well. But now what I did when cutting it is I used 3 main blades. First off, I used a rounded blade, which they look like this. Second off, I used a flat blade, which looks like this. And third off, I used just like a regular old X-Acto knife blade, which is like a triangle and looks like this. Now, what I did basically is I used my like triangle blade to basically cut a V-shaped like trench into the Croc. Then I would use this like rounded blade to kind of just reconfirm those cuts, because the Croc material is kind of hard to cut through. So you're going to need a pretty good amount of force, but not too much. Then lastly, I used like this flat like chisel type blade to kind of take out that triangular section, and it kind of just peels off. Now, if you're trying to peel it off and there's like still little bits of the Croc rubber stuck to it, that means that you probably haven't cut through all the way, or you don't have a sharp enough knife. So the next line I'm going to do is kind of this perimeter right here, and then I'm going to do some like lines in here right where the old tread was and just kind of cut it out. So let's do that right now.
Alright, so as you guys can see, I now have that second cut made. Now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to fill in like it's on this side, like it is over here. So now this side is already kind of still treaded because when I walk, I really don't step on this part of my foot. But this part definitely needs some retreading. So you can already see out a little bit. I marked out with my X-Acto knife where they are here, right onto here. And now I'm just going to do how I did these 2 cuts for the rest of them. So I'm just going to keep cutting.
So here's just a little time lapse of me cutting it, and I just cut it exactly the same way I cut those other 2 lines by making that little V-shaped trench. Alright guys, so as you can see, one Croc is pretty much done on the cutting part. And, I mean, it looks pretty good. I think it treads a lot better, like it grips, it doesn't slide as much. And it definitely looks better, that's for sure. So now you may notice like there's one line missing right here. Now why I did that is because on that part of my Croc, that's where I step it a lot, and that part was already almost worn out. So I don't want to cut somewhere where it's like really thin, because if you do, you can cut through your Croc. So like, I don't want you guys commenting saying like you ruined your Crocs by trying to do this. The key is to cut like pretty thin. You don't want to go super deep, because if you do, you'll cut all the way through your Croc, and well, that's not very good. So now I guess all there is to do is do the next Croc. Alright, so the actual cutting part is done, but there's more to this video, so keep sticking around, because there's a few more tips that will definitely help you. But I just want to say a few tips on the cutting. First off, make sure to have an X-Acto knife that is really sharp. This is like absolutely huge. My first Croc, I had like kind of a dull X-Acto knife, and it took me probably 4 times the amount of time to do the first one than the second one. Now that could be also due to the fact that I had a little bit more experience when doing the second one, but a sharp knife makes the cuts cleaner, faster, and way easier. Another thing is cut like both of your slits at like a V angle, so like cut and then cut, so it's like making a V shape, so it's really easy to pull out. It shouldn't be like you're having to pick it out with your fingers. It should kind of just come out if you're cutting in that V shape. Alright, now what we're going to be using is the Miracle of E6000. Now, I'm not completely sure if this is going to work, but what I'm going to do to add a little bit more like structure back to the Croc, more material, is a little bit of E6000, which is basically just like a really strong glue. And I'm going to kind of give it some like dot patterns like they have on like the Crocs when they're brand new, and just see if it works. I'm not completely sure if it will, but I'll give it a shot. Alright, so I just did little dabs of glue around the perimeter of the Croc, and when it dries, hopefully it works. Alright, so it has been one day, and the glue is dried on the bottom of the shoes, and I did like a little test walk, and I mean, it seems to work and increase traction quite a bit. Now, I haven't done it on my other shoe yet, because I wanted to test this, make sure that it works, and as of now, I think it does. If this, like, you know, the glue starts coming off, or it starts, like, I don't know, just not working, I'll leave a comment down below. So, if you're watching this video and you look and see if the pinned comment says, like, you know, don't do the glue step, then obviously don't do it. But as of now, I think I would probably recommend the glue step. So I might do it on my other Croc. But either way, I think this is definitely a really amazing way to fix the traction on your Crocs, because, like, I mean, they look pretty new after doing this. Obviously, it's not going to be as great as new Crocs, but I mean, this is pretty good. Alright, now the very last thing that I've done to my Crocs, and you probably saw it in the last clip, was I added a little Finnovation symbol right there where the size used to be. And, you know, I think it's just a little bit of a nice way to personalize them.
You know, Finn, I think Jesus would have really liked your Crocs.
Really? Why?
Because they're holy.
Yeah, I guess you're right, they do have a lot of holes in them. Whatever, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!